Welcome everybody. Welcome to Dead Bar Games and our one and only current game, Far Reach, that we've been playing every Tuesday. Mike and I and a few of our friends play every Tuesday, and today we are going to go over the game itself. I know nobody knows the game, it's a brand new game, nobody knows anything about it. So we do have a website, which is at Dead Bar Games at Wix. Go to Wix and Dead Bar Games there. You can reach it from our Twitch site. Down below goes directly, a link goes directly to our website. Today we're going to go over the general idea of the game, what it's about, and then from weeks to come we'll go in more depths on all the classes, all the races, all the ins and outs of the game. But today we're just going to go over the general idea of the game.
Right. So first, you should tell us a little bit about the Kale Galaxy in general, like what's going on with it and how's everything coming about.
The Kale Galaxy, we created a long time. I created a long time ago with some friends back in the late 90s. We've been playing it for a while, and I decided to finally sit down, write it out entirely, make it different, my own. So the Kale Galaxy is filled with 7 races, main races, and they have discovered that the Kale Galaxy, their galaxy as it flies through space, the universe, is in deep peril. It's about ready to hit a black hole, giant black hole, and be destroyed as far as they know. So they have come together as a unifying body. Before, the races all fought it with each other, of course, and over mining and all kinds of stuff, and didn't really get along. But since this has come along, they have managed to get together and form what is called the KGC, the Kale Galactic Council. The Kale Galactic Council is made up of all 7 of these races, and they formed this to originally just to go out and do expeditions to find a new place for all the races to go and live at, since they are going to be extinct here soon. But it has now morphed, the KGC has now morphed into almost like a police, military type council, government body. They police the international space, the international waters, you may say, that is not owned by the races themselves. Each race has their own area of space that they own. The Kale police the rest of the galaxy, which is huge.
Right.
So they try to, anyways. I mean, people can pretty much do what they want.
Right.
I mean, they still try to maintain some kind of law and order, as you will.
Right. So, speaking of the races, we could start with telling us a little bit about those.
Okay.
The different races that they have.
We'll start with the youngest and go to the oldest.
Okay.
The youngest are the Terrans, the humans. They haven't been around very long, but they are quick to learn and very warlike, like we are ourselves. They have gone through a civil war. The major body of government that was on Terra, which is their homeworld, the Terrans' homeworld, was the Falcon Imperia. Basically the Roman Empire. If the Roman Empire would have survived on till today or into the future, that's what the Falcon Imperia is. They have a major leader. He rules with an iron hand, and so people got tired of it. There was a civil war, and they fought with the Out-of-Wolf Republic, which they become known at the time. They were just a faction that had grown, and they had fought amongst each other in the Civil War. Finally, the Out-of-Wolf said, forget it, we don't even want to be here anymore, and left into space and found their own planet to live on. So if you're playing a Terran in this game, you can be from the homeworld Terra and be under the Falcon Imperia, or you can be a Outer Wolf Republic from there on their own planets. The next ones are kind of all the same as far as age. The Ren are dark skinned. Their skin is naturally ornate. They have lines in their skin, and each one's different, like a thumbprint. They are very quick, agile. They're great at being pilots, anything to do with agility. They are mortal enemies of the Brokens, which I'll talk about next. During this war, one of the wars with the Brokens, they have developed chemical warfare, and the chemical warfare backfired on them, and they have lost an enzyme in their blood due to this chemical warfare. So they go around now, after much hoo-ha that happened, which I'll get when we go through each one of the races. We'll describe what happens with each one. But they go around with an enzyme incubator that looks like an insulin pump, basically, and they daily have to take this enzyme into them. The Rokans, who they were having a war with at the time, are short, squat, reddish to brown skinned people, 4 arms, very adept at engineering. They're very good engineers, and they have mined their planet to nothing. There's nothing left as far as ores go on their planet. So they stretched out and was mining asteroid fields and other planets that they came into, and they came into stretched into Ren territory. The Ren didn't like that, and there was a big dispute and war ensued. To play them, I mean, you don't have to be an engineer, obviously, and
right.
They're good at combat. Obviously, got 4 arms, so you can shoot quite a bit, but engineer is their shtick. What do we got next?
The Tutarans.
Oh, the Tutarans. The Tutarans are they lived on a planet, and a long time ago, and they developed mental abilities slowly. They started doing telepathy, being able to talk amongst each other, and telekinesis, is able to lift the salt shaker from across the table, and small stuff. And they worshipped their deity called Tutar, and they attributed this power that they have and all this stuff to their deity, which they were very religious people. So one day they found out that a asteroid was coming close to their planet, was going to hit their planet, come close to it, not whatever it was, and they were afraid of being, going extinct, obviously. So half of the Tutarans people, under one of their bishops, wanted to leave and find a new place, even though they didn't have very good spacecraft at the time, and they were just developing this. Wanted to leave, and they thought it was a sign from Tutar to leave the planet. The other half, under another bishop, decided that they wanted to stay, that it was actually, this asteroid was Tutar coming to visit them and was going to bring them a wealth of knowledge and power. So half of them left, took their ship and left, and the other half stayed. Well, the half that left in their rickety spacecraft didn't make it very far. They started losing a lot of their spacecraft along the way. They lost half their population. Finally, they found one planet to land on that wasn't very hospitable, but they landed, made a place for themselves, and recently they discovered that the people that they had left survived the cataclysm that was supposed to come, and they have now reunited with their brothers and have developed their kata, their mind powers, which are called katas, differently. The Tutarans are more religious, and as far as being a priest and healing and using the mind for actually mind control and illusions. And the other ones that stay behind are called the Gislatans, because that was what the plan was originally called. And they went a different direction with their god powers, and they can control the elements and do more damage, really, is what they're looking at.
More of an offensive.
Yes.
Okay. What about the Zens?
The Zens are, is that my last one?
No.
Let's just leave them for last.
Okay, the Vox.
The Vox are a matriarchy. They are completely ruled by the female of the planet. How this came about is the females developed a way of controlling the minds of others. Not necessarily controlling, but kind of like a charm. By singing. They use different songs, and they can control the minds of the males of their species, who have now become virtual slaves to the females. They sing, they do what they want. The males do what they demand them to do, and their wealth is predicated on how many slaves, male slaves, they have on their families. They are very family oriented. Each family is put in line on power. So a top family will be at the top, and families will be underneath them, and families can absorb other families and take their slaves if they can. That's how they get up in rank, is absorbing the next one above you, or another one can absorb one lower just to get their slaves,
right?
However it works. And it's worked for them, weirdly enough, without extinction or being one family.
Right.
I mean, there's several large families that kind of keep each other in check because they're so large.
Right.
They have smaller families underneath them that they rule and basically do their bidding, do their dirty work.
The Vox are awfully complex.
Yes, and they were the last ones to come into the KGC to be convinced of the KGC because they determined that everybody else is inferior to them, and they could do it on their own. But they have decided to go ahead and join the KGC for now.
And
the Scythe.
The Scythe.
The Scythe are the big dumb animals of the galaxy. They were genetically engineered from the Terrans. During the Civil War, the Falcon Imperia went into genetic engineering into Terrans, grew them from incubation, and to live short lives. They only live about 20 years because they weren't really planned on living that long. They were cannon fodder. They were sent in the battle to die. And this was the real reason that the Adawolf Republic left Terran, is because the Scythe were overrunning them. So they said, heck with this, we don't want to stay here, and the Scythe are kicking our butts. They left. So after the Civil War, the Scythe didn't have much to do. They were using them as slaves, as mining and stuff like that. They're not very intelligent, was bred that way. But their intelligence slowly grew, who knows why, genetics probably. And they finally revolted against the
Life
Falcon.
finds a way, right?
Huh?
Life finds a way.
It does. Life always finds a way. And they said, we're tired of being slaves to you guys. We want to do our own stuff. And so they started turning on the Falcon Imperia there on Terra. And Falcon, we don't want to screw with these guys. Go ahead and take some ships and leave. We got our planet now.
Right.
We don't need you anymore, really. So they left, found a harsh planet to live on, a desert planet, which they actually live underground in caves. There's big giant cave systems underneath their planet, and they have found a variable wealth in these caves that they've actually been able to trade throughout the galaxy and become very actually wealthy for being as dumb and whatever they are. But they are very great combat officers, obviously, and they're very loyal. If they say, you are my captain and I follow you, they will follow you to the death. They are very loyal to the end.
And then last but not least, we come back to the Zens.
Zens. The Zens is the oldest race of this galaxy. Maybe the progenitors of the various races, who knows? There's various rumors about this, that they are actually went around and sowed the seeds of the various races around the galaxy. But those are rumors. Who knows? But the Zens are actually two life forms. Well, one life form and one drone.
Yeah.
The Placido, which is the actual brains of the operation. They live in embryonic sacs, no larger than 2 foot. They look like slugs. They have, through the centuries, become immortal, basically. They don't die naturally. And they are slow to grow. They are grown one is born every year, just one. And they don't get around very well. So using their immense intelligence through the centuries, nobody knows how old they are. They've been there forever, like Betty White. And so they have managed.
Think.
Yeah, exactly. Betty White's a Zens.
Yeah.
They have managed to use their technology to make drones, basically called ICDs. What do I call them? Drones, yes.
Basically.
Yes. And they can look at anything they want. They can look completely living. They can look completely mechanical, or somewhere in between. Totally up to the Placido how they want to look. And they reside in the cavity of the drone. See, that's going to bug me. I thought I wrote it down, but I did. Right there. ICDs, Integrated Caretaker Drone. I knew that.
You knew that. I would hope so.
Yeah, I knew an ICD. I just but anywho, they go through the galaxy more as a learning to gain more knowledge. That's their whole shtick, is gaining more knowledge to see how their children are doing, the rest of the galaxy, and to observe the galaxy. And as the body, the drone, takes damage or actually malfunctions and dies, the Placido that resides can either have a drone ready for them to actually, almost like a clone type deal, take them out and put them in a new drone and off they go.
Right.
If they don't have another drone on your ship or ready to go, you can take them back to their home planet and they'll have one there and have one built.
Right.
So basically, they are immortal unless they take damage themselves, which they obviously don't have any armor or anything. They're easily killed by weapons, but that's
Right.
what the drone is for.
So did we want to talk about the new Singularity engines?
No, let's go on the factions.
Alright, we'll start with the KGC then.
The KGC, we skirted around a little bit. The KGC is the military, the police of the galaxy. If you join the KGC as your party, you start off with a ship. It's not yours, it's the KGC's, but you'll have a decent ship starting off with. The KGC, as opposed to the other factions, are the most well-funded, but most of the stuff is not yours.
Right.
You're using the military's stuff.
Right.
And anything that you dent or destroy,
Break it, you buy it.
You break it, you buy it. Exactly. But you will start off with decent equipment, a decent ship. Start off with better than the other factions, and you'll be sent on whatever the military decides for you to go. Whether it's a police, an area, exploration, hostage rescue, any of this stuff, anything that the police or the military you think would do, like on our world,
Right.
that's what they would do. You're sent on these missions by your captain.
All right.
And there's a military order, obviously,
Right.
and you're paid.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
Yeah.
KGC, you're actually paid. You know, you got an income.
You got a check coming.
You got a check coming each month, as opposed to the other ones where you're just scrounging.
All right. Well, speaking of the other ones, what about the Independence?
The Independence is what 90% of the galaxy is. It is people just making a living, whether it is farmers or whatever doing their daily stuff on all these stations, or merchants doing their stuff. As player characters, you'll have your own ship and go out to the universe and get jobs as you can, whatever those jobs may be.
Right.
Doing transport from A to B, retrieving this item or whatever, finding this lost person, whatever the hire may be, taking passengers from A to B.
Crew for hire.
Yeah, crew for hire, exactly.
And then we have everybody's I would say like a good percentage of people's choice, the privateers.
The privateers. If you don't start out as privateers, 9% of them end up as privateers.
Yeah.
Privateers are the pirates. They go around and get stuff whenever they can. It's the hardest living, and it's the hardest to start off with because you don't start off with a whole lot.
Right.
Independence, going back to them, your ship that you get, whatever, you're getting that money from a bank or a wealthy person, or whatever it is. You owe that money, and you're paying that back as you're taking jobs and paying back this money. Privateer, you can start off with a ship. It's not going to be a very good ship, and it's going to be stolen. So you got to watch what you're doing with the stolen ship,
Right.
and make sure that you don't get caught by the KGC and all this stuff, and take precautions and changing the ID signal and all the other stuff that you got to do to be a pirate.
Right.
And all the stuff that you're selling.
And shave off some of the serial numbers.
Absolutely. And whatever, there's not a lot of pirate stations out there due to the KGC patrolling, but they're well hidden, and the one big one is called the Gateway, which the KGC doesn't mess with because it's big and they don't want to get a big war with all these people.
Right.
So they let it go. And like anything else, you've got to have a little scoundrel in your economy, because it's economy.
Right.
People are buying, selling, trading. It might be bad stuff, I mean, stolen stuff, whatever, but it's still economy. People are still exchanging money and
Right.
making a living. So some of that stuff is overlooked, but you still gotta, you just don't want to run face into the KGC.
Right.
Saying, hey, look, I got stolen, whatever, because it's not going to be any good for you.
Yeah, it's not going to end very happily. Okay. So now, did you want to go over the classes?
Classes next. Classes are the abilities that you have learned over your life. What you've learned, what you acquired, training under somebody, however you got these abilities, these are your abilities, classes. There are 8 of them, yes. 8 of them, I'll just skirt down them and give a short description of each one of them.
Right.
If you have any questions about it, feel free to ask. Soldier is soldier. It's the easiest one.
Right.
They are prolific of all armor, all weapons, all heavy weapons. They shoot a gun very well. That is their thing. They're good at combat. They get all kinds of feats and abilities and skills all due to combat.
Right.
They are the combat.
Okay, and what about the mercenaries?
Mercenary is your dirty fighter. They take advantage of any situation they can get, and they get bonuses for doing whatever it is they're taking advantage of, whether it is throwing dirt in the eyes, whatever it is, stabbing in the back, whatever advantage the mercenary can get, they get.
Whatever it takes to win.
And the soldier and the mercenary are the only ones, 2 classes that can use special weapons. Special weapons are your big weapons like the Gatling blaster and the mag gun and the big rail cannons and stuff like that. They're the only 2 classes that can use them. All the rest of them cannot.
Okay. What about the Ranger?
Ranger is your private investigator. They can go into any faction loves the Ranger because they can go into any situation and track down people, go into a room and know exactly what happened in that room by going around investigating, finding dead body or whatever they come across. They can determine how that person died or lived or any information. They are great at information gathering, and they're great at handguns, but it's neither here nor there. So they are great at doing that.
Okay. And the Scoundrel.
Scoundrel, rogue. Good at sneaking, hiding in shadows, breaking into places, scaling buildings, parkouring. That's your man.
And the Jaeger.
Jaeger, the Jaeger is the tinker, person that's great at messing with androids and stuff like that. They're the inventors. They like to invent things and make it explode and make it do things, shoot guns, heal. All their little gadgets can do all kinds of different things. They're great at making gadgets and doing stuff.
Okay, and the Blade?
The Blade is the samurai of the universe.
That sounds so cool. The samurai of the universe.
They was started by a general from Terra, from the Falcon Imperia. He was a veteran of many wars, many battles, and learned how. And he always used a blade, a sword, in all his time there. He never used a weapon, a gun.
Yeah.
He always used a sword. So he used this knowledge after he retired and said he wanted to start the school dojo of using this blade and protectors, and his school became so well renowned that high officials and emperors and kings from different planets use the blades as their personal protectors down through the years. Now, many centuries later from when he started that, obviously he's died and went on, and all his students have spread out and made their own dojo, and like anything else, it has gone not exactly as he started. It has watered down. They're still very formidable,
right?
But they have lost some of the knowledge and stuff that their elder had started back centuries ago. But they're still used to this day as protectors or whatever, or they hire themselves out now, depending what school they come from.
Okay. And then the Tutaran Priest.
Tutaran Priest. You have to be a Tutaran to play the priest, the Tutaran Priest from Tutara, worshiping Tutar. Everything they do is according to their gods. They use Tutar a lot. The priest is... they can use their powers, their kata, mind powers, to heal, influence people's minds, create illusions. They're very good at that. They get several other katas, offensive katas, of course, but that's their main shtick, is to control people's minds through illusions and through healing. A lot of your medical officers or whatever that we'll talk about later are priests.
Okay, and then the Guzlatin Sorcerer?
Yeah, that was their brothers that stayed on the other planet who went a different way. You have to be a Tutaran to play them also. A little different in appearance, because down through the centuries they are living on different planets. They've changed their appearance slightly. But they control the elements with their kata, doing damage. They are well sought out by both of them, but the source is really sought out by adventuring parties for damage dealing.
Right.
Which is, they control fire, control ice, and control electricity. So using those three elements, they can do just about anything.
Interesting. Okay, so let's move on to the professions.
The professions. The profession is what you do on the ship. I mean, not necessarily is it confined to the ship, but it's your ship abilities, your skills that you have on your ship. The first one,
Pilot.
is the pilot. Pilot is obvious. You are the flyer of the ship. You also run the navigation, so you put in the coordinates when you're jumping from A to B so far on the map. You have to throw in the coordinates. If you mess up, then you mess up and end up somewhere random. You also are flying the ship into docking, whatever, and in dogfight with another ship. You're piloting and have abilities to do so in that. And you also can fire stationary weapons. Whatever's pointing forward, you can fire.
Okay, and the combat officer?
Combat officer, that's an easy one. Law soldiers, mercenaries are combat officer, but it don't have to be. They run in charge of the weapons on the ship, which are usually turreted and are placed on the outside of the ship. So if you run into trouble, you're on the... Okay, the engineer takes care of the engines and all of the... fixes everything that's on the ship. If it needs fixed, the engineer's in charge and fixes it. He's got a lot to do. During combat, things get blown up, catch on fire, whatever. He's out there fixing it. That's it for the engineer.
And then the medical officer?
The medical officer, another obvious one, heals anybody that needs healing. Medical officer has an interesting facet about them. They have flying drones that they can control, which does their bidding. Not only can they heal with their hands, they have these drones that can fly around in an area and administer either healing to other people or shields or other things they deem necessary on their drones as they fly around.
And then the science officer?
Science officer is works on the scanning, takes care of all the computers on the ship, anything science related, obviously they're in charge of.
Okay, and let's
we go over the combinations. So there's almost like there's not an endless combination, but there's a lot of combinations that you can control as opposed to other games. So you start off with your faction that the group wants to go in. So say you want to be privateers or independents or work for the KGC. You got that first choice to go with. Then your next choice is your race. There are 7 races. So whatever which race you want. Some of them classes depend on your races, so you got to watch that out. But otherwise, you got 7 races to pick from. Then you got classes. Classes are your main skills. There's 8 of those that you got to choose from. Then professions that work on your ship, but can also work outside the ship. Like the science officer can do computers outside the ship, or the engineer can work on stuff outside the ship. But their main duty, this is their main duties on the ship. So you got lots of combinations. You can be like a pilot, combat officer, Vox, working for the KGC. There's a lot of different combinations there.
Now, do you all have to work for the same people? Like, can somebody be a Vox working for the KGC and somebody be a privateer? Or somebody else, somebody else?
Certainly. Yeah, there might be situations where you don't want to tell anybody that. You may want to you might be running a privateer campaign and somebody's actually working for the KGC.
Right.
To learn information about not only your group, but other privateer holdings.
So it is possible to do that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. And that would make a more interesting situation around the table.
Right.
So you got privateer mole inside a KGC mole inside a privateer.
Vice versa.
Or vice versa, yeah. You got KGC group and somebody grew up, their dad was a privateer and the KGC had killed him or whatever, so they're out for vengeance or whatever, so they join the KGC without them knowing how the history of that person, and they subvert a lot of the KGC stuff that's going on.
Right.
So yeah, you can definitely pull that off. That would make it a lot more fun for not only the GM, but maybe not for the players, but
Yeah, right.
the player running that would
Right.
have a great time doing that.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that's it for me.
Yeah, we covered every.
That is the game in a nutshell. Far Reach. We from week to week we will be going into each one of these, the professions, the races, the all the other different stuff, week to week, plus equipment, and talk about each thing specifically for an extended period of time.
Yeah, covering everything in greater detail.
And, like any other channel does, talk about the GMs should do in certain situations and stuff, and we can talk about a myriad of things.
Right.
Absolutely. So, thank you for watching, and
Yes, thank you.
have a wonderful day.